The Fairfax County Democratic Committee welcomes you to our Toast of Unity, a celebration of the inauguration of President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. The 4 long years of depraved administration in this country has finally come to an end. We are thrilled that you have joined us as we share in the joy and hope that America will be healed. We'll hear from our senators, members of Congress, and county leaders, and conclude with an opportunity for some of us to share our thoughts among ourselves. But to kick everything off, I'd like to invite Drew and Danny Hebron to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, that was great. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite FCDC Co-Vice Chair of Precinct Operations, Maggie Gobbold, to kick off our celebration with the playing of America the Beautiful. Thanks, Maggie. I want to once again thank all of you for joining us on this historic day. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank those who have financially supported FCDC through contributing to this event. As always, at our inaugural host committee are our great friends Rick and Verma Bachner. The write-in with Biden co-hosts are William Hill and Shekhar Narasimhan. And our Blue Wave writer sponsors are Wes Callender, Supervisor John Faust, Ann Gordon, Cynthia Grant, Natalie Lorenz Anderson, Carolyn Radillette, and Lynn Tadlock. And of course, thanks to all the sponsors. FCDC relies on the generosity of so many to be able to do the work of electing Democrats in our county. So if you've given today, or sometime over the past 4 years, your support has made all of this possible. So again, thank you. Now, I'd like to invite you to grab your beverage of choice. Ooh. And relax as we share in the catharsis of a new Democratic leadership in America. And let's get things going with our friend, former Lieutenant Governor of Virginia and representing the 8th Congressional District, Congressman Don Beyer. Congressman Beyer, thanks for joining us.
Brian, thank you very much. To quote Gerald Ford, our long national nightmare is over. Our Constitution works. Our great republic is a government of laws and not of men. Here, the people rule. I don't get a chance to quote Gerald Ford very often, but Megan and I showed up at 7:45 a.m. this morning at the U.S. Capitol. We had to show all kinds of credentials to get them to move the dump truck that blocked the access to the 14th Street Bridge. And then we had those highways all to ourselves. It was weird. It was like driving in a Land Rover in a snowstorm. And the Capitol itself was like the Green Zone, but more U.S. soldiers than Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan combined. I love President Biden's speech. I'm not sure it had the glorious language that will ring forever, but instead it had truth and healing and a call for unity. It was the exact opposite of the American carnage speech Trump gave 4 years ago, an American carnage he made real in his 4 years of presidency. The new president said, we have a cry for racial justice, some 400 years in the making, moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer. The cry for survival comes from the planet itself, a cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear. And now a rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism that we must confront and we will defeat. John Harris wrote a fascinating essay in Politico yesterday, arguing that the elegant language of inaugural addresses of George Herbert Walker Bush and Clinton and Bush and President Obama, that lifted people for the moment. But to restore the soul of America, we need good leadership, like the American Recovery Plan. 100 million injections and 100 million arms in 100 days, and Paris, and the minimum wage, and unemployment insurance, and healthcare for all, so much that actually changes the lives of the American people. I just thought it was a wonderful day. And maybe the second best part to having Joe and Kamala was Amanda Gordon, whose poetry was so uplifting and so clever. And I felt like I was listening to Lin-Manuel Miranda do spoken word poetry. One of the best days of my life. And I joined FCDC in saluting the wonderful years to come. With that, Brian, I yield back.
Thank you so much, Congressman. And I'm very happy you were able to join us. I mean, it was a surreal experience today, but next I'd like to kick it off to the senior senator for Virginia, who we, of course, reelected in November, and the two-slice man, Senator Mark Warner. And I know you're busy, Senator, with it seems like we're going, or I think the Senate's back in session. There's confirmation votes and such. So thank you for joining us.
Brian, thank you, and it's great to be with Don, who is our own Virginia version of Obama-esque eloquence all the time. And I know Tim is going to be speaking after me, and I think Jerry and Jennifer. I want to make two comments, and yes, I appreciate the chance of getting bumped up. If I've been on the device, it's because I'm trying to get Tom Cotton to agree to allow us to go ahead and vote on Avril Haines tonight, so that we can at least get the Director of National Intelligence in. Unlike Don Beyer, who's already into his relaxed winter mode, I have to put my politician outfit back on and schlep back to the Hill. I want to talk first about the thanks that should go out to all of you. I think the beginning of taking back our country started in Virginia in 2017. And no place did that take place in a more vivid way than Fairfax County, when you all elected Ralph Northam in a way that was amazing. He managed to do it in a much more convincing way than I'd done with Eddie Gillespie a few years earlier. But you sent that resounding message. You then helped our delegation in 2018, where we added 3 great women across the state, and again, Fairfax County came through and helped Tim defeat the last of the Minnesota Confederates. Remember the old Prince William guy? He who should not be named anymore, but with record numbers. In 2019, you gave Governor Northam a majority in the House and the Senate. And then in 2020, you not only returned the congressional delegation, you helped give me that margin of 12 points over my opponent, and obviously hired Joe Biden with remarkable numbers. So I can tell you, during the bleak times, a lot of our Democratic senators would always come up and say to me, you know, what's going on in Virginia? You guys have got a good thing happening. I've had so many friends in Georgia over the years say, we want to follow the Virginia model. And that model now got followed with Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff's incredible elections of, frankly, just 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago. So first and foremost is fellow Democrats, thank you, thank you, thank you. Although, as we know, in Virginia, no rest for the weary. You're going to be the first place where the country's going to look. We are going to be the first place where the country's going to look in 2021. We've got all 3 statewide elected officials back up. We've got our House of Delegates back up, local elected officials. So we're going to ask you to do it one more time. But I really do think the America coming back started in Virginia. And as hard as it is for me to say this as an Alexandrian, it really started in Fairfax, even more than Alexandria or Arlington. And Don, we won't say that on the Arlington Zoom later tonight. So that was point one. Point two is just that I'm as excited as I've ever been in this job. I'm excited to become the Intelligence Committee chair. I'm excited about the fact I think we're going to go back tonight and pass and vote in a major bipartisan way Avril Haines. I think on the intelligence and national security side, President Biden has put a great team together. I also, and I don't want to sound wildly optimistic, because Brian, I haven't opened my beverage of choice yet, but I got to tell you, I get a sense from a lot of the Republican senators. I can't speak to the crazy House Republicans. I think a bunch of them are lost forever. But on a lot of these Senate Republicans, I think they want to turn the page. I think they want to get some things done. I know, when we talk about national security issues, when we talk about cyber incursions, when we talk about the fact that we have a huge national security issue with these white supremacists and anti-government right-wing groups across this country, and their ties to those same kind of groups in Europe, and the fact that Putin tries to advance all their interests. They agree they want to work there. They acknowledge that the images of those thugs walking through the halls of the Capitol 2 weeks ago was the single biggest gift given to Vladimir Putin or adversaries anywhere around the world, literally in decades. Putin gained a lot more out of those images than he'll gain from the SolarWinds hack. So I get a sense there. I get a sense from the group that I was proud to be part of, that when we put together the $900 billion last COVID package. It was not perfect, but it wouldn't have gotten done if there hadn't been a number of Republicans that joined in. And will they go for everything in the Biden $1.9 trillion package? Maybe not. There may even be some areas where, again, it can be corrected, but there is now an active group of between an 18 and 20 bipartisan senators in the Senate who are committed to not letting this kind of train get off the track again. So I'm as excited as I can be. I'm not looking forward to go back and vote tonight, but I am looking forward to getting it passed, and then I'm going to, at least in spirit, join you with a beverage of choice. But I think all of this, in so many ways, started in Fairfax County, started with FCDC, and as somebody who's now been around longer than anybody but Don Beyer, I just got to tell you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Better days ahead for Virginia, better days ahead for our country, and better days ahead because we've got Democratic leadership. Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you so much, Senator. And we look forward to everything that's going to come out of the Senate. It's driven from the Senate now. So thank you. And now I'd like to toss it to the junior senator from Virginia, the America's dad, Senator Tim Kaine.
filling in for Tim Kaine, let me just say on behalf of
Wait, can you start playing the harmonica?
Tim loves you all too. Like, yes, I can. He is, Tim has
I
been.
can fill in.
I was told he's here and ready to go, but I'm going to need some help from Jeff.
Well,
on
his
that
his
one.
chief of staff has been the person helping shepherd through some of these intel people. So we are real time, and we are at a really significant point, Jerry. If at least on today, Tom Cotton is being reasonable. So that is the earth may shake. So
Mark, there's a wonderful Latin phrase for that. It's called mirabile dictu. Unbelievable, wondrous to relate.
So
That
Hi,
I know,
everybody.
that Jesuit education coming out. Here comes Tim's the person that I would always agree to always speak for Tim or for me, and that's Corinne. I'll go back to you.
Hello, Senator. It's great to see you. I just wanted to say, everyone, Senator Kaine was just on the Senate floor. He was participating in the swearing in of now Senator Warnock. So if you continue with the program, I definitely will text you when he is on, but he's excited to get on, but the Senate schedule got a little bit in the way today, so we are working it out.
thank you, Corinne. I thought that might be the case. I know I got some messages about, we were swearing in and confirmations and such. So, so we'll move on to everything Fairfax. My congressman, Congressman Connolly.
Thank you, Brian. And thank you, Mark Warner and Don Byer, and for your leadership and your companionship. It's such a privilege to serve with people of such high caliber representing Virginia, like Mark and Tim and Don and Jennifer Wexton and so many others. I wish I could say the same for the 4 Republicans that represent Virginia, but that's a different story. I went to the first Blue Jeans Ball when President Bill Clinton was sworn in. And I had forgotten I'd gone to it. So my wife reminded me today, hey, we were there at the original one. And it's sort of been a tradition for Fairfax Democrats ever since. And I want to thank all of you for gathering today. I think we have to remember the enormity of the event that took place today. So at the same facade of the Capitol, the same wing of the Capitol that was stormed 2 weeks ago with violence and violent intent, incited by the then President of the United States, whose name I will not recall for you. Here we are 2 weeks later, celebrating the democracy they tried to stop. Having a beautiful, little chilly, sunny day to celebrate the peaceful transfer of power, to celebrate the will of a democratic people being expressed in the most meaningful of ways, the creation of a government. And I think all of us, I think probably Mark and Don felt the same way I did, which was I gotta be there. I have to bring this to closure. I gotta give witness to the power of that express will of the people, to the integrity and sanctity of elections, and to hopefully the return of sanity and rational policymaking as the preferred tradition in America. And, although it was heavily guarded and lots of things were shut down and we had to sort of truncate the ceremony and we couldn't have huge crowds in a pandemic and after an attempted insurrection, nonetheless, you felt that energy of democracy at work. You really did. You felt, I am giving witness to something profound and meaningful. And all of us can celebrate that. And all of us can celebrate our role in making that happen. The faith we kept the despair we didn't give into, the consistency and persistence of our dissent, peacefully expressed, prevailed, which is what's supposed to happen in a democracy. And the violent alternative, the rule of the mob, failed. And I think all of us can take ownership for that success. All of us can take pride in saying, I'm an American. We know we're a work in progress. We know, the beautiful poem that was read today, and both the blessing and the invocation, the benediction and the invocation really remind us of that. We are an imperfect union. We are anything but perfect. We work to make ourselves a more perfect union. But we insist that we are one people, indivisible, not divisible. And that's what we're going to continue to work at and forge. I'm proud to be one of the architects of the Democratic majority in Fairfax. Mark Warner said something really true that he, of course, won't repeat in Arlington. But if Fairfax hadn't gone from red to blue, Virginia would still very much be a state that was probably tainted, pink. But when Fairfax flipped, they couldn't hold the state. And when we brought Prince William County, which I also represent, and Loudoun County along with us, on the long suffering but loyal Democrats in Arlington and Alexandria, when we forged that as a Northern Virginia bastion politically of thoughtful, progressive, democratic leadership and voting that way, the state couldn't stay Republican. It couldn't stay conservative. And here we are in the cradle of the Confederacy, the capital of the Confederacy, and we're doing all kinds of things that you might expect in some other part of the country. But they're happening here, and it's not by mistake, because we did forge that multiracial, multi-ethnic coalition that wanted to express itself democratically, in fact, insisted on it. And as Mark said, we saw that really express itself to everybody's surprise in 2017, but we repeated it in 2018. And in case people thought we didn't really mean it, we did it again in 2019. And of course, we did it in 2020. And I'm very proud to call myself not only a Democrat, but a Virginian. And I'm really proud to call myself a Fairfax Democrat, where really the new progressive coalition for Virginia really got started. Thank you all so much for having me. Thank you for joining this Blue Jeans Ball. Please celebrate. We got something to celebrate today. And I may look at that beverage of choice that Mark talks about and try to find out what that is. It sounds good, whatever. God bless everybody.
I'll run over to you. I'll run over to you with some champagne. You're not too
okay,
far, right?
Great, Brian. And Brian, by the way,
a
thank
couple
you.
blocks over.
Brian, thank you for having your tree still up. As you can see, I still got my wreath.
Yeah, well, it's my inauguration tree now. So.
Oh, all right.
Well, thank you so much, Congressman. I think next we are going to. I'm looking at my list to. Oh, okay. I'm gonna try introducing our junior senator again from the great Commonwealth of Virginia, former governor, as Senator Warner, of course, was, and former mayor of Richmond, America's dad, Senator Tim Kaine.
Hey, Brian, Tim Kaine here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
I am not on the video because we're actually still in the middle of Senate business today. And let me tell you what we're doing, but I stepped out of the building so I could do this since it's political. We just swore in 3 history makers into the United States Senate. Alex Padilla, first Latino senator from California. Raphael Warnock, first African-American senator from Georgia, and John Ossoff, first Jewish senator from Georgia. They took the oath of office from Kamala Harris, our vice president, in the chair, presiding for her first duty, a history maker in 3 ways, as the first woman vice president, the first Asian American vice president, the first African American vice president. History was also made when Chuck Schumer took the floor and gave his maiden speech as Senate Majority Leader. History was made again when Chuck Grassley, the president pro tem, stepped down out of the dais, and Pat Leahy became the president pro tem as the senior Democrat in the body. I was very honored to participate in this moment because Raphael Warnock honored me and asked me to be his presenter. When you step forward to take the oath of office, you have another senator come and present you to take the oath. And I was deeply honored that Raphael Warnock, the child from Savannah, Georgia, who now pastors Ebenezer Baptist Church, asked if I would be his presenter to take the oath of office from my friend Kamala Harris. It was a day of amazing history, and I needn't go on at length because you all saw it. You saw the difficult circumstances. The pain of 2 weeks ago transformed into a day on the 20th, today, that started blustery and cloudy and snowy and ended up sunny and glorious by the time Joe Biden took the oath and spoke to us about the need for national unity. So to my Fairfax Dems, when we're done, we're still going to be on the Senate floor working on nominees and other items, probably for another half hour or hour. But when we're done, I'm going to raise a glass. I'm joining other events around Virginia tonight. But thank you so much for what you've done. Fairfax was the bellwether that in '04 really showed the path. I was lieutenant governor then, wanting to run for governor the next year, and had no idea how I was going to win. But when I saw how Fairfax did for John Kerry in '04, I told my staff the next morning, I'm going to be governor of Virginia a year from now because of what I saw you guys do. And you've just been rock solid for progressive values, and I can't appreciate it more. And so I'll just finish. All of you with drinks can raise a glass, and I'll do it later. But I just want to toast to the Constitution. And we Democrats are the guardians of that Constitution and have passed a tough constitutional test in recent weeks. But America needed us, and we were there for them. And we will be there for America going forward. So to the Constitution.
Thank you so much. I just had a sip of champagne in honor of the Constitution. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to join us and celebrate. Next, I'd like to introduce formerly district supervisor and now chairman of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, Chairman Jeff Mckay.
Thank you so much, Brian. And it's good to be with so many friends on such an important historic day, as several others have spoken before me. And what a proud day, not just to be an American and a Virginian, but in particular, a resident of Fairfax County. As others have spoken, we have led the way in so many ways, getting us to today. And when I spoke to you all a few days ago at the Road to Richmond brunch, I told you, for me, that was a therapy session. If that was a therapy session, today is a full renewal and respect for our democracy and for our country, and a chance for us all really to celebrate, how far we've come and how much work we have to do over the next 4 years to continue our progress, and frankly, to recover from 4 years of, call it what you want, but it was miserable. Miserable to be an American in this country and see what happened to our democracy. Miserable to see the negligence at the federal level in terms of supporting our residents and doing the right thing. And so today is a renewal, an opportunity to celebrate our democracy. And, one of the roles that I play, it's not political, but I'm the president of the Virginia Association of Counties this year. And in that role, I have to interact with a lot of Republican local elected officials across Virginia. And I think, Don Byer was reading some quotes earlier today. And I think this quote I have to share with everyone on this call, because this quote said, "Now the work begins, my friends. We must seek the grace of healing to be healed. We must offer the hand and not the fist." We must seek to listen again. We must be greater than the negativity that is in our society. We must continue to move on from this day and speak words with kindness in your heart, provide charitable acts that reflect our better nature to all that may need our help. I texted this to several other friends of mine that I was proud to be an American once again. Such hope, such calm, such reassurance, such competence. Amazing we actually have real leadership again. This was sent to me by a county supervisor in Rockingham County, Virginia, which for those of you who know the geography of Virginia know that Rockingham County is a board of supervisors of all Republicans in the most conservative county in the entire Commonwealth of Virginia. And that was the text that was sent to me by that Republican supervisor. And so I think it's really important to focus on that and the unity and the power of this moment to not only change the negativity of our country, but really to bring people into our tent who are angry at what has happened over the last 4 years and are ready to lead us forward. And sometimes that may be very unconventional people. I'm hoping that quote isn't just caught up in today, and that quote is remembered by many Republicans across the Commonwealth of Virginia that understand the importance of this day and understand the importance of this historic election that we all have been through. And so this full day of renewal really brings us back to our core values in Fairfax County. What won the day today, besides our democracy, was our decency, our understanding of what it takes to take care of the least fortunate, our progress as we advance always. And I think about our own Democratic board in Fairfax, which is really at the grassroots level of so many of our policy decisions, whether it is our One Fairfax initiative for racial and social justice, which, by the way, was put in place in the county before the abomination of the last 4 years, where we knew many years ago we needed to advance social and racial justice, whether it's protecting our environment, police reform, increasing our affordable housing stock, banning guns in government buildings, supporting our school board partners who are doing much important work in very trying times, protecting our immigrant population and declaring Black Lives Matter proudly in Fairfax County. These are the things that make the fabric of Fairfax County. And now we're seeing those things displayed at the national level as we restore our democracy and celebrate this moment. The part of the day today, though, to me, that was most inspiring was watching the entire inauguration event and watching it with my two kids, my 13-year-old daughter and my 9-year-old son, and to watch them glued to the screen. And remember, if you're a 9-year-old right now in our country, really all you know about our presidency is what you've seen over the last 4 years. And what a moment for our children to understand that that's not what the presidency was. That's not what America was. And we have an opportunity, especially with our young people, to show them once again what America looks like, how it acts, how it performs, and how it respects one another. And when I watched my son, and had to explain to him why there were so many unprecedented things that happened today, I told him, thankfully, with God willing, you will never have to go through what we've gone through over the last 4 years of parents who had to turn off their TVs because they were embarrassed about this administration, kids who aren't in school buildings because we couldn't manage the coronavirus, inexplicable comments from our nation's leaders that even our kids in preschool are taught that are wrong and to know better. And so I think today a lot about our future and our kids and exposing them to an administration that once again has respect, empathy, professionalism, and duty and honor to people. And that's really what today was all about. And frankly, I'm so proud that we led the way in Fairfax County and so many grassroots ways in shaping our policy and looking at all these Democrats who have spoke tonight. I was a member of FCDC when Democrats were scarce, and now they're abundant because we have elected Democrats to represent every single person in Fairfax County in every single office except for two. one district supervisor that was elected by mistake, and frankly, we will fix, and a clerk of the court that nobody even knows is elected. And so in reality, thankfully, every resident of Fairfax County can go to bed tonight knowing that they are represented exclusively by Democrats who believe in our democracy, believe in our country, and believe that we can advance always. And we've got work to do over the next 4 years. But tonight is a night we should all celebrate. What a great day to be an American and a Fairfax County Democrat. And I thank you, Brian and Jack, and really the whole team at FCDC for the role you've played in promoting our Democrats and getting Democrats elected. Elections really do matter, and today was a testament to that. So thank you all very much. Keep up the good work and celebrate tonight.
Thank you, Chairman McKay. This is the one opportunity we get to breathe and relax, because we do have an election this year. We always have elections, right? But we get to celebrate a little bit today, as I am doing. So thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce our Commonwealth's attorney for Fairfax County, I guess in the city of Fairfax, and also someone the Heritage Foundation calls a rogue prosecutor, our friend, Steve Toscano.
Thank you, Brian. I very much appreciate being here, and I thank you for bringing up the attacks from the Heritage Foundation. I think we can all agree that sometimes you can be judged on who your enemies are, and having a national organization single out Fairfax County for their criminal justice reform efforts, I think it really does show that we're on the right track. So I wear that as a badge of honor. And, I'm really glad to be here with everybody on this joyous day. And, I know everybody is feeling a lot of joy, but I think you're all feeling a big sense of relief. That's what I'm feeling. Not only because we finally have, we've got rid of Donald Trump and we have Joe Biden as president, but relief that in the face of crisis, when the chips are down, the better angels of our nature did prevail at such an important time. And that was something that the president mentioned in his speech. And I was glad that he did. I thought his speech was wonderful. And the thing that really stuck out to me about his speech was the repeated calls for justice and centering justice, and particularly when he called for racial justice that has been 400 plus years in the making. I think those calls for justice touch on our hopes for our country going forward, touch on what we aspire to be as a nation. More locally, those things all touch on the job of reforming our criminal justice system that we've all undertaken. And we've actually done quite a great deal over the last year, whether that's getting rid of cash bail, taking a dent out of mass incarceration, or discarding the death penalty. We've actually done quite a bit in Fairfax County, but we've had to do it in the face of a crisis of American justice that has been stoked by the former president. And, I think over the last year, one of the things that really dominated our life was Black Lives Matter and the movement for Black lives. And I know that many people on this call joined with Black Lives Matter and protests and marches. And I know everybody on this call stands with Black Lives Matter. And, I remember seeing the marches, whether they were including the marches that occurred on the courthouse for Black Lives Matter, and remembering how gutted that I was, knowing that people were out fighting for these ideals, fighting for justice, and the person who was the most powerful man in the world at that time stood against those values. And while we stood with Black Lives Matter, that our president stood against those values. And that gnawed at me, and as I'm sure it gnawed at all of you. But the good news is that that's old news. We're not living like that anymore. We actually have an ally in the White House, somebody who understands justice, someone who shares our values. And with that at the federal level, just think of all that we can accomplish, because we've accomplished a great deal in the face of pushback, but with an ally in the White House, we can actually continue to do great things and really move not only Fairfax County, but Virginia and the rest of the country forward. So really, in many ways, of course, today is a celebration of what's ahead of us. And today it's a celebration of our nation. But is also a celebration of everybody on this call. Because if you think about it, through the work that everyone here has done over the years, Virginia went from a red state to a swing state to a blue state. And that was all because of the work that got done by you all in Fairfax County. And that work that got done in Virginia, that was the blueprint for the rest of the country. Georgia is probably the best example. And it's because of that work, that years of laying the groundwork, that we had an inauguration today, that we put in President Biden, someone who shares our values, and we have hope for our future again. So today we celebrate, as well we should. Take your beverage of choice and celebrate. But tomorrow, I think we need to remember that we need to rededicate ourselves to justice, and as we continue to fulfill our mission as Fairfax County Democrats. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here, and our days are bright. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Steve, for your words and for the work you're doing in our Commonwealth Attorney Office. Thank you. Our last of our elected guests that we have set up to speak, although I guess we could hear from them later, is former Virginia State Senator, a mom, and I love saying this for the in her second term in the 10th Congressional District for Virginia, Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton.
Thank you so much, Brian, and thanks Fairfax Democrats for inviting me to join you today. So I don't know about you guys, but I haven't stopped smiling all day. My cheeks are starting to get kind of tired because I'm just overjoyed. I'm just over the moon that we can celebrate the swearing in and the inauguration of President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. 2 weeks ago, I was there at the Capitol when the riots happened, when the domestic terrorists took it over, and I was like many of you, despondent. I was saddened. I was shocked. I was terrorized, and then I moved through all those stages of grief to being really, really pissed. I was quite angry, and I, for a while I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to work with these people again, or do anything, or be able to see past, the events of January 6th. And for me, it was so jarring seeing these terrorists marching through the crypt, carrying the Confederate battle flag, because I had been there just days earlier when Virginia removed our statue of Robert E. Lee from the US Capitol. And that was entirely because of the work of Fairfax Democrats and so many Democrats across the Commonwealth who flipped both houses of the legislature in 2019. But what I needed today, what I needed was the wise words of President Joe Biden today, because nobody can bring us together like Uncle Joe, right? I mean, if anybody is going to bring us together and allow our country to heal, it is President Joe Biden. And what an amazing, amazing ceremony. I mean, Amanda Gorman, the music, seeing Vice President Kamala Harris sworn in by Justice Sotomayor. I mean, so many uplifting moments, everybody coming together. And I do want to highlight a couple of things that Joe Biden said in his speech, which really spoke to me, that we're going to come together to defend the truth and defeat the lies. Because for so long, for the last 4 years, the lies have come from the president himself. And so it will be so wonderful and refreshing to have a president who tells us the truth, and who brings us together. And the time has come to open our souls instead of hardening our hearts. And I certainly needed to hear that today. But I feel so optimistic. I'm going forward with great resolve and great optimism for our future. Thank you so much, FCDC, for everything you've done. 2021 is not going to be a cakewalk for us. There's still lots of folks on the right who are trying to take over our Commonwealth again. So for every step forward, there's somebody who wants to push us backwards. But tonight, let's celebrate. So thank you so much. And I'm going to raise a glass to democracy.
I will drink to that. Thank you so much for everything. We're happy you're safe, and I feel like everyone else, a huge weight off my shoulders, able to exhale with the hope that we can heal under President Biden and Vice President Harris. So I'll drink to that. But thank you. Um, uh, on Tuesday, November 8th, 2016, I remember standing in the Fair Oaks, Waterford, with many of you, my Democratic friends, shocked, shocked that someone like Donald Trump could be elected as our president. We all knew what he represented and the great threat to democratic norms that he was. And of course, 73 days later, when he was being sworn in, I must admit, I might have been a few drinks in, as I dreaded what was to come. And we were not surprised when time and time again, our fears were proven right by the depravity of the Trump administration. But the silver lining is that Trump provided renewed energy to the Democratic cause. Our membership grew, and volunteers never politically active before were driven to help us. We've had overwhelming success since, from school board special elections to voting out the last Republican delegate in Fairfax, leading to the Democratic trifecta in Virginia, and Eileen Fillercorn becoming the first woman to be Speaker of the House of Delegates. This is the thing that should give us all hope. Under Democratic leadership, we have made so much progress here in Virginia. And as we head face on into resolving the coronavirus epidemic, racial inequity, repairing our economy, and fighting climate change, we have hope because President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are leading the way, along with a Democratic House and Senate. I am brimming with hope that the work we do under the Biden-Harris leadership will help us heal this country, both our actual health and the dangerous political divide that has deepened over the last 4 years. The women of our country, and all of us really, are brimming with hope that the glass ceiling has finally shattered as we have our first woman, and a woman of color at that, as our vice president elected to national office. So I'd like to ask, if you do have a drink, to join me in raising a glass, brimming with hope, to the health, success, and prosperity of President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and to our great country. Cheers. So I hope you've enjoyed what I kind of, it's been cathartic. It's kind of like a therapy session. We get to talk about everything, but I'd at this point, I think we're just kind of, we have some open time and we're on a regular Zoom. So if people want to share their thoughts to the group about how they feel about today or whatever, maybe raise your hand on the Zoom or whatever, so we can open you up. But thank you so much for joining us in our celebration. I see a hand, Rolanda Fabia. Let's see if I don't know if I have the power. Is that gone? Oh, is that gone? No one wants to say anything? I saw, you know, the weights of people off of people's shoulders. You know, I cried today. I cried when Kamala Harris was sworn in, and I know lots of other people. I got texts from people. Was it okay to cry? Yes, it is okay to cry. We made it through those 4 years, and well, okay. Let's. Kathy says she's not smart enough to raise her hand, but let's see if I can
Brian?
recognize her. Go ahead. Oh.
Yeah, I joined first-time volunteer early on, but then my sister heard I volunteered, and she's pretty active in the Arlington Democrats, so she hijacked me, and next thing I knew, I was writing 200 postcards for Senator Ossoff and Warnock, and then she got me connected to the Beto's Powered by the People, and I was joined his group and making phone banking calls in Georgia, and it was just, you know, a little scary at first, but you know, I was amidst with a lot of other first-time volunteers, and it was just great to see all the work that we put into it. And it was just, now to look back at what we've done, it's amazing. I mean, I've never seen so much effort before with, you know, Stacey Abrams and Beto and Fairfight and all these other groups. It was just, I don't know if this is typical, but there were so many of these groups that were going out and recruiting canvassers and people do door knocking. It was just amazing to see that. So I was really glad to be part of it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being a part of it. I know when I first got involved in '08, I lived in Fairfax and I got pulled into volunteering in Arlington as well. So I don't know what they were doing back then or what they do. They trick people into working there, but of course we were very successful in Georgia. So thank you. I think Kathy. Kathy
Yeah,
Wren,
yeah,
go
I'm
ahead.
here. I'm thrilled to share my thoughts because it's just such an emotional day. I'm a wreck. Just yesterday, I lost a coworker in the Pentagon to the coronavirus, a young, healthy person, relatively my age. And, just to realize that the cause of that is I don't even have the word for it, for the previous administration, and how hopeful I am, and how I tie this hope today directly to all those hours out at early voting at the Franconia Government Center, and the people, the hundreds and hundreds of people standing out there in the rain and the freezing, and just to cast their vote. It's a direct line for me. So I've been through all the emotions today. I've had them all in the last 24 hours, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited to hear our elected leaders speak here today. And I wish you all the best of luck in representing us faithfully with the new Democratic majority. It's a very special day. So thanks, Brian and Jack, for hosting this so we could get together and celebrate and cheer. So
Yes.
I loved all the toasts to the Constitution, to democracy, and to Lee Dems. Thank you.
Two lead M's. Thank you. Brandon, you're next. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was definitely one of those people messaging Brian today, just saying I was just shedding a few tears, first time since probably 2009 around this time. And I remember when that election was called for Virginia that I knew Obama would be elected. And thankfully, Virginia was called much earlier tonight, or last year, I should say. But no, it's just a lot of hard work from so many different people and everything else. And I spent a lot of time living in Fairfax, but I grew up in Mars, Pennsylvania, which is southwestern PA. So thankfully, we get a second native son as president, so we can wash away James Buchanan, who led up to the Civil War and everything else. So I'm feeling doubly proud. It's hard to me as well.
Thanks, Brandon. Jennifer Deli, go ahead.
Hey everyone. I know this is going to sound really cheesy, but there is one good thing that came out of the Trump administration. And if it wasn't for that guy, I would not have gotten involved in Fairfax County Democrats, especially at the level that I did. And it is no exaggeration when I say that some of my absolute closest and dearest friendships have been formed in the last couple of years, people that I text, no joke, like dozens and dozens of times each day. And God, my voice is a little shaky just thinking about it, honestly, because it's been such a ride. And it wasn't just politics. I mean, these are people that we shared stories about family, and we shared ups and downs and challenges and so many things, kids, all that kind of stuff. We've had babies born in this group. And I shudder to think that some of those people I probably would have walked by in my local grocery store, and I would have never known them if it wasn't for the passion and the anger and the activism and the just pure drive to do good things together. So I'm really honored to have spent all this time with you guys. We're not going anywhere. You guys know that I'm not going anywhere. We always have work to do, but there is one good thing that came out of this.
Yes, definitely a silver lining there. And of course, I have to mention that Jennifer is running for delegate. And the district number is not coming to me in a second, so go ahead and say it, Jennifer, if you. No? Okay. Kelly Hebron, chair of our Black Caucus. Go ahead.
And lead district, Brian.
Well, I okay, sure.
Well, can't forget lead district. But I just wanted to say that it was two things. I have two daughters that many of you probably know because I've been dragging them to events since they were old enough. I mean, We're going back 2 and 3 years of age. And so for them to kind of see the work that we put in, why are you going to early voting? Why are you at another FCDC? Why are you doing this? To see the connection, they were able to make the connection. That was the first thing that really meant a lot for me today. I think the other thing was I got to watch their face and their expressions as they watched everything unfold on TV today. And there was nothing more, I'm getting emotional because there was nothing more beautiful for me to see, for them to really realize that's someone that looks like me that's up there. And that's someone who's speaking truth. And for them, it's no longer a concept, but a reality. And that's something that for me, it's beyond price. That's priceless. That's nothing I could teach them. That's nothing they could get from canvassing. That all came from watching today. And then they went and said Pledge of Allegiance. But generally, that's something you can't buy. That's something you have to experience. So yeah, that was beautiful for me. I'm choked up, but that was it. Thank you, everybody, for letting me share.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks for sharing. We're entering the era when children are going to grow up and not know that we never had a woman as vice president, right? Or people that look like us, right? So okay,
And
so that's
Brian,
great.
I got to give a shout out to Nova. How could I forget Jill? How could I forget Jill? It is beautiful to see Nova in the White House. Okay, that's my last comment.
Yeah. Northern Virginia Community College, right? Jennifer says the 34th House District. Sorry, they slipped my mind, Jennifer. I think Maritza Zermenio, chair of the Mount Vernon District, wants to say something, although she has her name as Gil.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Yes, this is Maritza. Okay, so the Mount Vernon District Committee made a contest toast, and I have the winner, and I would like to share with everybody. And this was from Jeannie McCurry. So this is go to all of us. It's a small one, but I think it's a very nice one. Maybe your troubles be less and your blessings be more, and nothing but happiness come through your door. I think this is the beginning of a new era where everybody is ready to start a new day tomorrow. And we're celebrating today because we want to make sure that everybody feels welcome and if everybody is inclusive. So I want to say that since 1 of every 5 people are going to be, or are speaking Spanish, I just want to toast for everybody in Spanish. Gracias a todos los que participaron en lograr que este día sea la diferencia para América. Salud.
Salud.
Gracias, Brian.
Thank you. I only have one other hand left up here, Bruce Purdy.
Well, thank you, Brian. I have not been real active in the Fairfax Dems, partly because I've worked with the feds for about 20 years and had to work under the last administration. But I do want to bring out this one point. In 2006, I was actually on a fellowship over in Russia. And in 2006 is when the Senate was hanging in the balance. And I was interviewed there, like, what's going to happen? And I said, Virginia is going Democratic. And I said, the reason Virginia is going Democratic is because you have the Fairfax County Democratic Party that is actually going to bring it over the top. And we did. So here's to you and everybody here for all the work you guys do and for all the work we continue to do. So cheers.
Cheers, thank you. I was just going through the list of folks who are still on the call. I know I saw Delegate Ibrahim Samira, who was on earlier, but is not here anymore. I see Braddock Supervisor James Walkinshaw, Supervisor Faust, School Board Member Karen Keys Gamara, Supervisor Kathy Smith, I apologize. I'm literally just scrolling down the list. So they're probably not in order of whatever protocol. But thank you all for joining us. I don't see anyone else with a hand raised. So if we want, we can enjoy the rest of, I finish our drinks at home. Oh, Xander wants to say something. Xander, let's recognize Xander.
Oh Lord, I've never had to try so hard to get noticed.
Oh, well, thanks for getting noticed, and thank you.
Oh God, I don't remember. I think it was another Jennifer who said earlier. But if another one good thing about the Trump administration is is getting me involved in politics, because I remember 2016 was the first time I voted in a presidential election. I'm only 24, and I was proud to cast my vote for Hillary Clinton. And then the actual election day, fun fact, was my roommate's birthday. So, and the news reports we started getting in right after that were just Republicans snapping up every single special election they could get their hands on. And then, it's, as someone had already said this, but that first election in 2017, an election I'm ashamed to say I did not vote for, came, and we almost took back almost took back the House of Delegates, and we won the governorship. And then right when I got out of college in 2018, I started volunteering for Jennifer Wexton, and then in 2019 I interned for Carrie Delaney. And there wasn't much I could do this year, but I'm now getting involved with Sully Democrats, and I'm not going to stop being involved just because Trump is no longer president. It's going to break the stereotype of my generation being lazy, and I'm going to make sure that what happened over the last 4 years will not happen again. And so, to Joe Biden.
Thanks, Xander, and thanks for joining us. Thanks to everyone for joining us. I know we have a lot of people that did join after Trump won, and people who have young kids who didn't feel like they had the time to do it before or whatever. But at some point, you have to take a stand, I guess, right? There's some point where you just can't put up with it anymore. So I want to read Chomley's words if she doesn't want to. Oh, Jimmy wants to say something, but I'm going to read Chomley's words unless she wants this freedom herself. She said, as an Indian immigrant woman, I cannot even begin to tell you what today meant to me. So thankful for all the work everyone did here or did to make today come to fruition. America is once again the land of possibilities and hope. Jimmy, go ahead, or I might have to click a button. There we go. I think I muted you again, sorry.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jimmy Bierman, chair of the Drainsville Dems, for whoever doesn't know me. I grew up here. My parents still live in the same house out Old Dominion Drive near Great Falls Park. And I just remember growing up in such a different Fairfax County and such a different McLean, Virginia. I remember the elementary school elections, where Bill Clinton lost both times. I remember my classmates having parents who were Oliver North supporters. I remember thinking that Virginia would ever go blue was just crazy back then. And I know that there's so many people who've been involved in the Fairfax Dems for such a long time, and who worked so hard to get us to where we are today. And I think that it's really a great time to thank those people who worked so hard for so many years, put in all the work, so that the rest of us could come in and help as well, get us over the top, because it was incredible this year. Fairfax County was a foregone conclusion. Virginia was a foregone conclusion. We took our money, we sent it elsewhere because we knew we were going to win. And that's incredible. That's great. But I have to say, now the real fun begins, because now we actually have people in power who can do something, who can make our country better, who can advance the ball, and who can move us forward, can make us a more perfect union. So get excited, folks. The work's just beginning. And I can't wait to see all of you in person very soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy. And I mean, this echoes what my thoughts is. That I'm very excited to see what's gonna happen now. I have hope with Democratic leadership. We can get the job done, and honestly, we can turn some of these people, I hope, to the ideas of of creating new jobs and getting through this virus. But thanks, everyone. I mean, thanks all for your work. Thanks for your support. Thanks for sharing your thoughts today. Thanks for joining us. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. I hope you get a little bit of time to watch the concert this evening, and just thank you. And it's such a joyous day, and we're just really excited that you were able to join us to celebrate. So, thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of the day and the rest of the week, I guess. And have. I mean, I'm so excited about Democratic leadership. So, thanks, everyone.